Previously on Homefront Wargaming, Addie and Geoffrey had a showdown at the very gates of Carthage itself. Addie threatened the homeland, and it was up to Geoffrey to defend. He scrambled as many of his elite Spanish scutari as he could muster to man the walls and courtyards of the city. Addie brought a grand army and many siege weapons with her. The fighting was fierce, going for 7 rounds of combat, with Roman triarii making it over the walls to close in on the Capitol building. But Geoffrey was able to beat her forces back with his Spanish troops trained by Hannibal himself, and ultimately, the day ended with a Carthaginian victory, as the Romans ran back to Italy with their tails between their legs. Now our Romans are left spread thin, with smaller armies within a few points of Hannibal's main force.
I have survived the Siege of Carthage, and I have destroyed many Roman legions, and I am ready to take the fight to Rome. I will be going to the bottom of their peninsula and hoping to make a surprise attack on them.
All right. We're in a desperate situation here. We have kind of fallen into the same trap that the Romans did in real life, which is that we keep pushing and we keep engaging the forces out in the field. We tried to attack Carthage. It didn't really work out. That was a very brave move on your part, but it didn't work out. And so now we've gotten throttled down in Africa. And so we're in a situation now where I have a large army that has been just parked in Rome for the entire game pretty much, and I need to bring that army out and move it against Hannibal.
I think that Hannibal is going to be able to at least kind of get destroyed.
All right, so we feel pretty confident that if I take my main legion, my main maniple out into the field, I can defeat the large army of Hannibal. Yeah. And in the meantime, you just keep moving across the Mediterranean to link up with me afterwards so that we can then destroy him together.
Yeah.
The Carthaginian army led by Hannibal is currently sitting in the Med, just one space away from Rome. So for a start, I move my smaller force into the mountains to try and link up with my main force and wait for their move.
And for the bottom of the peninsula, so that way I could hopefully ambush their armies.
And I am heading back to my dad because I feel like I would not be able to do it on myself.
As Geoffrey's army moves closer to the lower portion of Italy, I begin to shift my main army down from Rome to act as a blocking force against Hannibal. This is where we currently stand. Addie is slowly trying to get the survivors of Carthage back to Rome by crossing the Med, and Geoffrey has landed in the lower portion of the peninsula. I bring my main army down to defend the road to Rome, as Addie finally reaches the capital at the end of round 3. Geoffrey and I are locked in combat. How do you feel about that?
I feel pretty good because I think I have a bigger army than you.
Alright, well, we're going to find out.
I'm sure not. In Rome, I bet you stacked it with good ones.
I don't even know what you just said.
Oh.
Cut that.
We set up our battlefield using the Age of Hannibal terrain system, and reveal a battlefield that has many small hills and a few patches of rough terrain and ponds. Geoffrey deploys his army first, a 1,200-point army led by Hannibal himself, with plenty of Numidian light cavalry and 3 war elephants. My own army is smaller, only about 960 points, and consists of a full cohort, with Hastati in the front, followed by Principes and Triarii. I also have 4 stands of skirmishers as well as cavalry to harass the enemy. Geoffrey is not looking for a long, drawn-out battle on a steep hill this time. He is looking for annihilation of my main force. He pushes forward with his entire army, locked onto my main battle host in the center. I send my skirmishers and cavalry forward, hoping to get a few hits on the enemy. But Hannibal has no interest in these lesser units. He wants my cohort, and ignores them completely. I engage him with my skirmishers, hitting his Celts and javelin throwers in the rear, and moves 2 stands of cavalry to the far back of the battlefield, hoping to catch his army off guard. The first combats of the game take place as my skirmishers face off against Celts and javelin throwers, but the Celts hold firm, taking and causing hits to my troops. Geoffrey shifts over some Numidian light cavalry for support in the center, and smashes into my equities on the left with his Iberian horsemen, led by a war elephant. It is time for me to get my cohort into the fray, and I begin moving them forward in the direction of Hannibal's force. So at this point, my skirmishers have been absolutely wrecked on the sides. I have already lost a stand of my cavalry, and so now I've decided to take the entire main bulk force of my Roman legions, and I'm moving them forward into combat to engage the center of Hannibal's line. The main force is first engaged during the shooting phase, and Geoffrey reveals that he has spent additional points in this army to give every infantry stand bows, and they hit my front line hard, killing a stand of Hastati right off the bat. Hannibal's army crashes into the Romans, and a bloody melee ensues. His Numidian cavalry rush them from the side, and the Romans desperately try to hold the line as they are quickly surrounded. My cavalry on the flanks have been defeated, and the last of my skirmishers are trying their best to lure away some of his impetuous Celts. The battle is very tight, with many units pressed against each other. The Romans have a special trait called Roman Drill, which allows units who have taken DMZs to swap places with a fresh unit to their rear. This trait is the only thing keeping my front lines in the fight. Geoffrey is shifting reinforcements to hit me in the flanks with another war elephant, and he captures my camp. The fighting is fierce, but the Romans are holding on, even if it is just by a thread.
I think it's going pretty well. I'm hitting them pretty hard, but they're pretty strong. But I think I'm stronger.
The fighting continues to be a bloody stalemate, with the Romans holding out and even managing to kill one war elephant on the flanks.
Oh gosh, I just lost an elephant.
The two armies continue to go back and forth, with no one showing superior strength. Geoffrey begins shifting his last troops that were defending his camp over to get in the fight and add support. The battle is reaching its end, and the blood-soaked troops on either side have had just about all they can take. My morale clock is down to 5, and the Roman casualties are starting to add up. And to preserve the last lives of my men, so I may have a chance to defend the homeland against this menace, I decided to retreat from the field and run back to Rome. Alright, so our battle is all over. I decided I had enough. I had to retreat. I couldn't keep fighting. I was losing too many men. With you being so close to Rome itself, I need to make sure I have enough troops to get back to Rome and actually keep my capital safe. So it was a good fight. It felt like a battle, that's for sure. Well, some of my units will live to fight another day.
I think the key to my success was having so many leaders with my army, because if it weren't for those Spanish Scutari with hooked up with the leaders, then I don't think I would have been able to hold up such a good fight.
I think that for me, what saved me from taking even worse losses was the Roman drill rule, which allows me to swap a unit in the front with the unit behind it and actually keep combat kind of fresh.
If you like this video, make sure you check out our other Rome versus Carthage episodes.
And please join us in the comments for any recommendations on future videos. And thank you for watching HomeFront Wargaming. We'll see you next time.